Well, it looks like the defense is finally coming together. Clint Hurt, I'm not sure if you heard my week one rant, but it sure looks like you did because after that week, it's been phenomenal. 11 sacks against the Giants, and most importantly, today, the most important thing about this defense today is if you are watching this on YouTube, you can see that the Seahawks had 8 pass breakups. 8 pass breakups. This is a team that the worst thing they did in that loss against the Rams is just allow open players to run across the field, in, out, just cut up their zone like Swiss cheese. And they didn't do that today, thankfully. This is a team that seems to be turning the corner a bit on defense. And I don't know if I can accredit that to Clint Hurt. Has he always been in the box? I don't know. Maybe he was on the field and that wasn't working. Now he's seeing the field better because he's in the box. Whatever it is, continue to do it. Maybe it's Devon Witherspoon finally playing. Maybe it's Jamal Adams. Maybe it's Julian Love finally learning the defense. And, that is something that I did bring up in the week one after. When you saw the video, the All-22, and I have to give credit to Norb Cam and Sky High Aviation for this. A lot of it was communication stuff because these players hadn't played together yet. Julian Love, Trey Brown, Tariq Woolen, Jamal Adams, Devon Witherspoon hadn't been on the field at the same time, and now they're all finally on the field together. And even last week, I didn't do a reaction video last week, but against the Bengals, only giving up 17 points, and that's a game that they absolutely should have won if the offense didn't go to the red zone 4 times and not score. That's a completely different story here, and we're going to touch on maybe some of the issues with the red zone offense and whether you can, attribute that to Geno. But let's just stay on the defense to start for now. Jordyn Brooks, a guy that this team looked a little lost as their captain without Bobby Wagner last year, possibly I think the year before as well. He is playing much better as I'm not going to say a second fiddle, but a mentee to Bobby Wagner's mentor. When the pressure is off of him and Bobby Wagner is leading the defense, it just seems so much better. And you see similar things to what you saw with like KJ Wright, for example, when he was playing alongside Bobby Wagner. Jordyn Brooks in this one, 9 tackles, 6 solo tackles, a half sack, 2 tackles for loss, and a pass defense. He had the best game of anyone on this defense. And of course, Bobby Wagner did his thing, 9 total tackles. Jamal Adams, a bunch of tackles as well as a pass deflection. But the pass rush, they finally, got home and showed that it wasn't a fluke today again. Darrell Taylor, Boye Mafe, both had a sack. Jordyn Brooks had a half a sack. Jaron Reed had a sack. I remember that towards the end of the game. And 6 tackles for loss as well. We mentioned 2 Jordyn Brooks ones. Boye Mafe had one. Darrell Taylor, Mario Edwards, and Jaron Reed. So it is fantastic to see that a defense that I thought was very, very bad, not only just like average, suspect, no, they were bad in week one against the Rams and a team that was missing Cooper Kupp. But to see them come together like this against a quarterback like Josh Dobbs, who is not terrible. If we came in with no expectations this season, but this is a team that beat the Cowboys, hung up, I think, 20-plus points on them, hung up 16 points on the Niners, that vaunted defense. Only scored 9 last week, but has put up 20 points, put up 28, I believe, against the Giants, put up 16 against the Commanders, puts up a respectable effort almost every week, maybe up until last week. But if you watch this game, you see, they're no slouches. We'll look at some of their players here. DeMarcado has been playing okay, but Rondale Moore, Hollywood Brown, Zach Ertz, Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, not terrible players, but the Seahawks made them look pretty bad today, holding them to only 10 points. And, those 10 points, especially that one field goal, came off of turnovers from the offense. So it wasn't as much the defense's fault. That defense really only just, gave up that one touchdown essentially. But no receiver here got more than 49 yards. That's what Hollywood Brown got. And Trey McBride, 29, Michael Wilson, 26, everybody else under 20. So huge props to the defense. The one thing I will mention is it seems like teams, and the Cardinals did this today, are going to start looking at different sides of the field to target when they're doing different things. So the right side of the defense, the one that has Tariq Woolen and I believe mostly Julian Love as a safety, they are focusing on that big time to run the ball because it seems like those are their spots. Those are sore spots for them. Those are weakness. I mean, Tariq Woolen is a great cover corner, even though this year he's taken a step back. Maybe he's recovering from that surgery. But there was, I think, maybe the second or third series for the Cardinals. They went after that right side of the defense over and over and over, and they had success, and that's when they scored their touchdown, by the way. That was some bad tackling by those players on that side of the field that allowed Josh Dobbs, he broke maybe like 4 or 5 tackles to get in there. So that's something I do need to address. And then also the other side of the field, meanwhile, is pretty much the opposite. You have Devon Witherspoon, Trey Brown, Jamal Adams, I believe, maybe Quandre Diggs. They shuffle them in and out. That's a side you will not run on. You will most likely pass more so than you run. And Devon Witherspoon had a crunching tackle in this one. I forget who it was on, but man, Devon Witherspoon is looking like a baller. Trey Brown didn't do much today. He didn't have to, but he takes advantage of his opportunities, and he's become really motivated by the guys ahead of him playing. And, I guess he's maybe mostly relegated to a slot corner at this point, but we know what he did. I forget which game, but he had an amazing game that I think was against the Lions that won them that game. So kudos to the defense. You really can't say enough about how well they played today. So kudos to them. Moving now to the offense. And I'm going to talk about something that I touched on just briefly. Last week against the Bengals, the offense lost this game. 4 trips to the red zone without a touchdown. And many of those trips were inside the 10. I believe one was at the 3, the 5, the 8, and one of them was probably closer to the 20. But that's something that is unacceptable. That is barely an NFL offense when you're doing stuff like that. And in this one, it also struggled. Not as much. They did get that red zone trip that resulted in the Jackson Smith-Njigba touchdown, or no, the Jake Bobo one, which was a fantastic. By the way, the Seahawks have possibly the greatest wide receiver quartet maybe that I've ever seen. I mean, definitely in the league right now. But DK Metcalf missed this game, and Jake Bobo had a catch in the corner of the end zone that is worthy of a wide receiver 1 catch. He looks like a wide receiver 1 out there. Jackson Smith-Njigba was great in his possessions as well. I think he scored his first touchdown as a Seahawk. He did drop one. He's coming into his own, but he needed a game like this that didn't have DK Metcalf to get his confidence up. And Tyler Lockett is Tyler Lockett. I mean, he also had 4 catches in this one. So each of them had 4 catches. Smith-Njigba had the most yards, 63. Bobo had 61. Tyler Lockett had 38. He wasn't needed as much in this one. But they got the tight ends involved as well, somewhat. But though, yeah, the red zone offense. They got the ball inside the 1 on this one, and Geno Smith almost scored. But again, they stuttered on this one and couldn't score from the 1. Had to settle for a field goal. Another trip to the red zone. I believe they're on the 17 or 18-yard line. Geno Smith throws an interception. Geno Smith also had lost another fumble. So the Seahawks lost the vaunted turnover battle in this one, the one that Pete Carroll says is the determining factor in the game. DJ Dallas also lost a fumble. And the Seahawks didn't get any turnovers. So I think they lost this turnover battle 3-0 and still won the game by 10 points and only gave up 10. So that should tell you how good this defense is. But that is, this is another game where they had, I think, 3 or 4 red zone trips or close to red zone trips and just couldn't score touchdowns. So I'm forgetting the name of the Seahawks offensive coordinator, the guy from the Rams. I mean, you know who you are, that guy. You really just this week in practice, focus on red zone offense. I don't know if it's something about their nerves, so get some distractions in there, put pressure on them so that they're able to perform in the red zone, because this is a team that, at the very least should be 5-1. That Rams game, maybe just an extended preseason game, as we're seeing now, maybe. But apply pressure on them in practice so you can simulate the red zone so this doesn't continue to happen. The run game. Ken Walker, I mentioned this in the last time I did a reaction video. Ken Walker wasn't involved enough, and in this one, he had 26 carries for 105 yards, 4 yards a carry. Ken Walker needs to get the ball 25 times a game regardless of the game situation, because we know him as a guy that maybe will get small gains here and there, but he is liable to break out huge runs at any moment. That's the way he is. You need to be able to soften up that defense so that you're able to create an environment where he is able to break off those big runs. So at the bare minimum, I want to see 20 carries from Ken Walker so he gets in a rhythm. But ideally 25, and in this one he got 26. Another wide receiver wrinkle in this one is Zach Charbonnet didn't play, so there was not another running back that recorded a carry in this game. DJ Dallas was relegated to kick returns, punt returns. He had one good one to redeem his fumble in the opening one. And I think he played probably on a third down because he had one target, but he didn't catch that. So moving forward, Ken Walker, get him at least 20, ideally 25 touches in a game, regardless of the game situation. And I really mean that, because Geno Smith is he's becoming a little more bold than he was last year. And that's resulting in being less careful with the ball. I mean, he went from, when he was starting 2 years ago, in place of Russell Wilson being really bad with the ball, being overly cautious but really bad at fumbling, to last year being very conservative and strong in that way. And this year becoming more bold, and maybe this is a step for him that, I'm going to become more bold because I need to, you need to learn. You need to learn what you can and can't do. I mean, ideally that wouldn't be in game. Maybe you can practice that in practice. But Geno Smith is turning the ball over more, and he is not orchestrating red zone drives the way he was last year. So if I'm pointing to one area that needs improvement, it's got to be Geno. I mean, where else would you really look here? I mean, DK has he's dealing with injury issues. I know he's had a rib issue for a few weeks. He's been playing through it, and he just introduced a hip issue. And that's why he sat out of this one. And he has maybe a little bit of a attitude issue that he is kind of showing. And he doesn't necessarily want to change that. He said that in an interview. He said, I'm going to play aggressive. And Pete Carroll is talking about harnessing it. And so it's a point to look at for some friction there, possibly. So, keep an eye on that. But really, Ken Walker is not the issue. Zach Charbonnet, when he's playing, is not the issue. These wide receivers on the field, in terms of their talent, Metcalf, Lockett, Smith-Njigba, Bobo, absolutely amazing. Really, really impressed with these guys. And Geno, really, you're not going to get like a better wide receiver quartet. You have to really maximize this. And I do believe in Geno, in because of what I see in his humility and his preparation and the way he's persevered through a lot of these adversity points that he's had in his career. I know he can take that step. It's just a matter of like really nailing it in practice. And Waldron, that's the offensive coordinator. Waldron, really work with this guy in practice to nail down the red zone nerves, because that's really what it comes down to. It's the nerves. Can you perform in the red zone in those kind of tight spots when there's you need to be clutch, essentially. That's what it is. When you need to get a touchdown instead of a field goal. Against the Cardinals, that'll work, but against these other teams, it's not. And you have a rough stretch coming up. You're playing the Niners, you're playing the Eagles, you're playing the Cowboys, you're playing the Rams again, who are a bugaboo for you and just a bad matchup for you. The Browns are getting in kind of a weird. The Browns are in a weird place. I think they're playing them next, if I'm not mistaken. So you're a bit lucky possibly there, but still they do have weapons. They still have Amari Cooper, players like that. Tight ends, I would have liked to see a little bit more involved, but also that's just a product of when you give the ball to Ken Walker more, the tight end aspect of the offense isn't really going to get as much attention. And on special teams, Jason Myers, after that week where I forget, it might have been the Rams game where he missed like a couple field goals, has been nails. I don't know that he's missed a field goal since then. And Michael Dixon continues to do his thing. And the special teams, I think they definitely won the battle in this one because Matt Prater also missed a field goal badly. And it was at a critical point as well because the Cardinals were leading at halftime. They were leading 10-7, and I think this was an opportunity for them to go maybe 13-7. It would have made the difference in the game. So kudos to the special teams. Special teams, advantage Seahawks in this one. Defense, advantage Seahawks in this one. And I'm going to give the advantage to the offense, to the Seahawks in this one, but really it's because the Cardinals weren't playing a different defense. They were playing the Seahawks defense, who's good. So takeaways, it's mainly Geno. Geno is the only guy that I have an issue with this, and then DK, maybe it's some maturity stuff that will come. So Shane Waldron, this is where you can earn your future head coaching job by learning how to navigate this. But I am, even though the Seahawks lost last week, I was encouraged by what I saw because I am always in the post Legion of Boom era worried about the defense and the scheme that they have. So to see them coming together, it's just a matter of time before the offense comes together, and that's where you're going to see the real potential of this team when both of them are clicking at the same time. And I'm excited to see that. So it's a matter of, can you do it in time? Can you get Geno right in time? Can you get DK right in time? And if you do, the sky's the limit for this team, in my opinion. I mean, Niners, Eagles, Cowboys, they look good. Lions got blown out today. But Eagles lost to the Jets last week. Browns beat the Niners. Cowboys, as Naif and I know, are always liable to, they look great in some games, but some games they, look pretty bad. And if you're a team like Seattle that has a good defense and good defensive backs, maybe you can rattle some of these quarterbacks like Purdy and Prescott. And we'll see about Jalen Hurts. He's a little bit of a different animal. That guy is. I would fear the Eagles the most. If there is one loss that I could kind of chalk up to the rest of the year for sure, I would say it's probably the Eagles because they just look good. They beat the Dolphins today pretty handily. So that'll do it for the reaction show. If you're watching on YouTube, I really appreciate you tuning in. Go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, do all that good stuff. And, if you can, link us back to your page, or if you enjoy it, whatever, would be greatly appreciated. If you're listening on a podcast platform like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Exo Player, Samsung Podcast, I'm trying to remember the ones that I see. Follow us, give us a strong rating, 5 stars if it's out of 5, 10 stars if it's out of 10. And we're on Twitter. There's some cool stuff that we post on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok that doesn't make these platforms. So join us on there as well. But until next time, have a fantastic day, football fans.